Hi friends, welcome back. I decided to do another journal today. I'm on the journal roll, so I have these 1-inch pieces of paper that I folded. I cut some holes in them. Those are going to be the part to hold my signatures together. I don't know what you call them inside, so I'm just penciling out the holes where they go in my little book there, and I'm kind of just winging it. I'm not sure if I really like the way I made this book necessarily with the little grommets and stuff, but it did work. Perhaps I would just sew it next time, hand stitch it or something. I'm just trying different things and to, not just glue everything in the same way and stuff. My crocodile that I'm using didn't fit all the way in to get the other center holes, so I just used my X-Acto knife, which worked really perfectly. Just did an X and then kind of just cut around, and stuck my X-Acto knife in there and kind of twisted it around a little bit and made my hole. So these are the small little grommets that I'm using, and I think they're called grommets. Anyways, I'm putting them through, and I can get my end ones in, so I had to use a pliers to kind of set the inside ones that it can't reach in, but it worked anyhow. Just to show you, I went a little fast on this video just to speed it through so I can get everything that I've done on a shorter video so it's enjoyable for you guys to watch. So of course I did my ends with the tool, and then I just had to use a pliers to spread out the grommets and squish them, spread them out. It worked. I couldn't find my little hand punch one that you can use a little hammer with, so I just used this. It wasn't a thick big one, it was teeny weeny scrapbooking grommets, so they were easy to bend, and that's what I did. Just used my needle nose pliers to kind of just bend those down, and then my knife there to just push it down so it's not sharp. But that part is going to be closed anyways. As you can see, I'm folding it, and I'm going to put my signature in there and glue it in there. So that's what I did. I just did 3 signatures, and you can see if I were to do this kind of style again, I'd probably just hand stitch it in. These are the receipts that I collected and sewed together in the zigzag sewing. Here's a little booklet I made for notes to throw in a journal, a bigger journal for the future, or into a purse to write notes or whatever. So that was just one that kind of made me have this idea. So I decided to glue individual signatures inside these. So I still used my glue, but it was just a little bit different way of holding it to my cover. So before I started gluing in, I wanted to add some beads and strings and all that kind of stuff. So I knew I wanted to have some kind of decoration on there, so I added all these, well, not all of them, I chose what I wanted to and added to the top of the 2 top grommets. No, the 3 top grommets I added lace and ribbon and string and wool and that kind of thing to it. So that, and I just tied it in a knot and then glued it a little bit down to keep it in there. For when it's dry, it'll work. I used little tweezers there, the ones that you have to kind of push open to open. You push pressure to open it so they're closed all the time, to get the threads through and that kind of thing. Ribbons. I had lots in my scrap here, and I gotta use it all up, and I think they looked really pretty at the end. This glue, I have to tell you, I wouldn't have been able to do this project if this glue wasn't so cakey. Like, it is so thick. So it's old, so that's why it worked so well. It's very pasty. Oh, my computer is saying update. No update. It's very kind of like pasty and thick, and I like it. So it works well for a project like this that you don't want to be too gluey, too wet, and slipping and sliding. It didn't slip and slide. It was like just thick glue. So I really liked it. And that's the glue I've had forever in my jar, and it's still the same glue. So it's quite a few years old, actually, maybe 2 or 3 years old. Maybe added some glue, but it is still the original from a couple of years ago for sure. I added this ribbon, thicker ribbon down here. I was thinking, well, I'm going to tie it shut or something, and I haven't set a plan on how I wanted to do it. The only thing I really planned was this, putting these signatures in, which I sewed together, and I just grabbed a whole pile of receipts, sewed them in a long string of receipts piles, and these are receipts from the library. They have no personal information on them or anything. They're just from books that were borrowed from different libraries, or books that come back to our library. So I thought, I'm going to recycle these. I'm on a mission to do that. And I saw another video, which I'm sorry I don't know the link and I can't remember the name, so I apologize. I saw somebody making little tuck booklets with receipts, her own receipts. So this is what inspired me to do a journal. So I'm just using, right now I'm using cards to push together, and then realize like I could use my bone folder and my ruler, so I get kind of like, oh yeah. So I'm just using them to kind of tack them together, and like I said, this would not work if I didn't have a really gooey, thick glue. So if you're using a wet glue that's not gooey and thick, you're going to be having trouble. So I'm not sure what to tell you what to use. I'd say play with it and see what works for you. This glue is really tacky and it was drying very fast. I didn't even have to use any heat. Like besides that, the receipts would have went black if I had to use heat on them. So I didn't even have to, because the glue was just so thick. And I didn't stop working on it. I worked on it right through. So I was just pushing, and I realized I put that one backwards. I was just pushing on these little signatures, the little, I don't know what you want to call it, lip or whatever it is that's holding them together, the fastening device that I made. I don't know. But it worked really well. I then just move on to making this book the best it can be. So it was really fun part. I wanted to do, like, show you that you guys, this time I did the signatures first. Other times I've done them last, or done them like in another day. You don't have to do everything the same way. You could just try one way if you feel like doing one way. There's no right and wrong. So that's kind of where I was going with that too, doing my signatures and then going and working around everything. So I didn't make a mess on anything. I was really careful. This one, my last one, I had paint everywhere. But this one was easy. Like, you know, I didn't have paper sticking all out. I just cut anything that was kind of sticking on the end. And to make this ribbon secure as well, and to make it all kind of look nice, I wanted to cover this back. So here's that gooey. You can maybe see how gooey and sticky it is, this glue. It's like wood glue almost, even thick wood glue. Like, it's really thick. So it works great. And I'm just using a navy blue, like sky blue type of night sky type blue cardstock, and I thought I wanted to have a little bit of a bright color in here. My theme on this book was a little Halloween-y, but I wanted it to be a little pretty Halloween, so it doesn't always have to be so spooky Halloween, and so that's where I went with this, just to be like a little bit a pretty Halloween, pretty scary, not just scrappy scary all the time. So I was going for a little bit more of a pretty chic type of look on here. Another thing I just should mention is the other lady who was making these little tucks, booklet tucks with her receipts. I think she did color dye, or she tea dyed them, her receipts, which would look really nice on them. But I was tea dyeing stuff for a craft club for the kids, and I was like, I had pretty much been done with for tea dyeing, and I'd have to let them dry naturally because I couldn't put them in the oven because the receipts would go black. So I thought, well, I'm not going to tea dye them. Now this gritty stuff that I put on them is a studio acrylic gel texture, and I wanted to make it really texture on the front cover. So I'm adding brown. I had an idea. I found my skeleton I was looking for. I believe one of my videos is saying I was looking for a skeleton. I found it, so I wanted to use it. I think it was a coffin skeleton. I said I want to use my skeleton, but I decided to use on this one. So the reason I'm going with the texture is to make it look like earth, dirt, you know, and make it look muddy and dirty, and adding the brown and the black. And I thought it really worked well. Makes it look like mud. And then I just threw a little paper towel in there so I don't get my papers. I thought about that ahead of time. And here is my little skeleton. So he's made of a kind of a soft rubbery plastic material, so he's not hard on the scissors or anything. So I kind of cut him apart. Want him to look like he was popping out of the dirt, the ground, and so I was kind of trying to design a way to make that look great, cutting him apart and adding different movements and that kind of thing. And I found these wood, they're not wood, sorry, these cardstock, I think they're cardboard words, and they were floral, and that's where I wanted to get the little bit of the pretty spooky idea, where it wasn't just spooky and creepy looking, but it had a little bit of prettiness. I was looking for my silk flowers, added a couple of those, but I couldn't find them, so I ended up just doing without. So I used some of these little twig sticky things to make a ground look a little bit more realistic, and I did tie my ribbon back so I can work on everything. Want to know where I'm going to put my words, my word boo, and want to make sure so that ribbon was right there so I wasn't covering the O, one of the O's. And they have a little bit of a floral pattern on the words, and I didn't want to change that. I really like the way it looked. So I put some moss here. I put some greener moss in the corner there. It's a little bit, you can see it, but the film is not great, the recording. But a ribbon's also covering it, but I wanted a little bit of greenness because I was planning to try to find some little silk roses and stick them in there. But that didn't happen. So I used the archival ink here just to go on my edges and in my center edges and that around to make my boo pop. And yeah, I like the way it works. So this is from the dollar store, and it is like that curtain type of cloth that you could put over your tablecloth or your curtains, and it's meant to look like fishnet type of stuff, really loosey-goosey, really cheap stuff, but it works good. And I was thinking of using it for different types of book covers and embellishment, so I used it in my background here in different places, and I really love how that turned out. And that was really cheap. I threw the cover away. You've probably seen it. It was probably at most $4 or something, because I don't know how expensive the Dollarama gets now. And these are plastic clips to fasten, and this is my first, maybe my second time using them. I gotta use them more often. I wanted to use them on the ribbon, and they're plastic snaps, and you squeeze them on, and that's it, and they work pretty good. I was testing it out a few times, and I was really surprised that you don't need a lot of pressure for a book to, like, it's not like a jacket where you're ripping it off or taking it off real fast. So it seemed to be working really, really well. So it didn't come loose or anything, so I'm really happy with that. And then on the button, I just add more embellishment, more of that black lacy Halloween stuff, decor stuff, and I use that throughout, just here and there to kind of, get your eye to go across the little book really nice. And I went a little fast speeding through this, but I did cut with my pliers a little gash behind his head there, so then I could kind of put it on the edge of the book a little bit more and let it sit in, like rest down into the book a bit for the skull. Because this is like a rubber material, here I'm kind of carving away his foot to get under the O. I was able to just manipulate and move it the way I wanted. And here's his other hand holding his O. I had a little trouble trying to get his fingers hot and dry or cool over the O, but I played around with it. Then I realized I got to switch this cardboard piece around because I was two O's looking the same. I wanted the pink side. Got to have it pretty. So there it was. He's holding on to that O, the B and the O. I tied a little bone on the, glued a little bone and have little that material on there too. I don't even know what it's called. What is it called? It was mesh type of material. I threw away the cover. I'm inking all my edges now to blend it all in and get a little dark on the edges. I get the blue original background here. I didn't really feel like I needed to paint it or anything and change the book besides the front, so I just edged it all up with my archival ink, and then I just add a little bit more embellishment. Here I'm throwing on different beads. I write, these beads are like the gold and letterings, and I write mummy, like the mummified mummy there, and have some nice dark rich colors that I thought would look pretty. A little bead jar, and I added some of the bones that were left from the skeleton and stuff like that, so to make it look just a little bit more chic and pretty and not just a scary piece. Here's that, and I'm adding a little bit of that black webbing stuff to that too. And that is really it. It was a really fun project. I want it to be pretty and spooky. And I don't know what this book can be used for, if it's just a little notebook or it can be a little journal. The receipts are not overly thin, so they probably could stand up to gluing and, you know, glue stick and collaging like that. I don't know, but I think it turned out pretty cute, and it gives you some ideas on, little ideas on making some cute little journals. And that is it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this cute little one. I guess if I make any more, I might do some winter themes. I'm really really enjoying the journals, and I'm not sure why I'm on such a journal kick, but I love it. Here's this guy. I hope you guys like it. I'll show a picture at the end as well. I inked the edges where I cut the bones, just to let you know, so they didn't just like pop out white. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.